Fire has found out Caspell, but he has got the backup of Cupcake as well. Flash, headbutt, gets turned around, and Schönfire picks up first blood. Schönfire pumping that damage out. The collateral damage isn't quite enough, but the flash forward into the queue. Keeper's verdict hits absolutely no one. Here comes a three-man pulverize. Oh, baby, Direwolves are just deleting absolutely everyone. KLH are destroyed, are demolished. Shen ultimate is coming down, it's not even going to finish in time. Call of the Forge God goes out as well, and everyone on KLH are going to get knocked back. The two-man headbutt pulverize comes down. Shiro on the run, it's 2 kills over to the Direwolves. They are still not done as collateral damage snipes out the next kill. Zora Becky will just get deleted by King on the back end of the fight. Now that's going to be Superior, who just gets popped. A double kill onto King. Direwolves looking to close this game out nice and fast. They've got themselves 2 kills already to start out, and Shiro is next to follow. It's going to be a double kill onto the Graves. Karma gets everything they need. That is a triple onto the Graves. Direwolves at 28 minutes will take down the Nexus and will take down KLH. Hello and welcome back to Rift Rivals 2018 Battle for the Pacific Rift. We're here at Game 5, the last game of the day. Ascension from Southeast Asia will be taking on Pentagram from Japan, who are currently in a pretty dire situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've had like a decent performance today against the Chiefs. Obviously, like they won that game. Pentagram, like they're playing it super defensive, and that's, I think, the most interesting for me coming into the game. This is Southeast Asia's #1 seed we haven't seen yet, and going up against Pentagram, it's the first seed 1 versus seed 1 performance we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw really conflicting styles when we came to these teams. Ascension likes to play fast. G4, Lloyd always have had that style, you know, big assassin player in the mid lane. Whereas we saw Pentagram just scale up and honestly outlast the Chiefs in the victory they were able to pick up. So interested to see how they go up against each other.
Well, before we dive too deep into this game, we do have an interview with Schönfire by Nick, so over to you.
I'm here with Schönfire. Congratulations. What a decisive victory. The best of the day so far.
Yep, that's how I feel, and it feels good.
It does feel good. We saw that so far today, all the Australian teams, the OS teams, seem to be running much more hard engage comps. Is this something to capitalize on the other regions playing much more defensively?
Yeah, I just think just because the Oceanic top lanes, they really like Ornn, and it doesn't seem like the other regions care about Ornn as much, but I definitely agree with our priorities, like the Oceanic priority.
Oceanic priority,
yeah.
#1 priority. And then, I mean, speaking of that kind of, you know, regional thinking, we see a lot in the OPL. You did it here tonight. Direwolves moving much more towards a sort of supportive mid carry jungle playstyle. Is this something that you are drawn to? What draws you to that playstyle, and is that something that you're pushing yourself?
Actually, there's many things we like to do, but a lot of the time we resort back to that because just the way the pick and ban goes. So I don't necessarily think it's like our thing. I think other people should be able to play it like us, but I just don't think they pull it out when it counts. And I think that, yeah, we're able to adapt when it matters.
So do you see it more as falling back to something of a default, not necessarily a way that you're pushing the team?
Well, yeah, it's definitely when we're forced to. That's the way they get 6 bans, we get 6 bans, and that's just the way the game goes. I can't play Nocturne whenever I want. I'd like to, but yeah.
Well, congratulations on the win. First day jitters out of the way.
Sorry?
Congratulations on the win. Are the first day jitters out of the way?
Oh, there was no jitters, you know. I was versing my home countrymen, you know, the Malaysian Kuala Lumpurs, you know. The durian is great. So it was all fun and games for me. And I felt like from the start, like I was very confident. I feel like the preparation we put in, like, led me here.
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait for the rest of the tournament. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, and wow. No jitters from Schönfire, feeling very, very confident there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Schön should be confident. And the thing is that Schön actually doesn't push carry-style junglers. Some of Schön's best games within OS was when he was playing Ivan and just being like a sneaky little devil running around and like befriending enemy camps all the time. So he really can play everything. I truly believe that.
He's very versatile. Some of the most annoying games I've played against are literally like Zach. Like, you know what I mean? He just sets up a 10 in your lane. It's absolute disaster to deal with. But, of course, he's actually not playing this next match.
Yep, it's not Australia. You guys are done for the day. You've had a very solid day, but there are two teams who have games to play still. That is going to be Ascension Gaming and Pentagram. Pentagram need to get this win. Otherwise, Japan, who are currently the leaders of this side of the Rift Rivals, are going to be sitting at the bottom coming out of day one.
Absolutely are, but in saying, when we said, you know, Oceania has a winning record versus Japan historically, Japan has a massive winning record against the Southeast Asian teams historically. The ability to outlast them, to frustrate them, to drag them around the map, to split them up and to really shut them down has been something they're very famous for. And I think Pentagram is one of the best teams here at doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. But taking a look at the other side of the Rift, you know, like talking about Ascension, they are the #1 seed. And a lot of experts in the C region have been saying that there's a big discrepancy between them and #2 and #3. Mineski obviously picked up a win, but Ascension coming through, they want to be the victors here.
Well, Ascension are obviously going to be the first team coming up. Rocky in the top lane, Dale playing in that jungle. G4 is the mid, and it's Lloyd and Rich in the bot lane duo.
Yeah, absolutely. And a fun fact for those at home, and maybe for yourself as well, here, friend. I don't know if many people know this, but in 2015, Bryce Egan Paul had an opportunity to go to Worlds, to fulfill his dream to become a player on the world stage, and two of these members in G4 and Lloyd absolutely put a stop to that and shut him out of the tournament. So Bryce here today, looking to get some revenge.
Is this the washed up support?
This is I can't believe you did, like, on the OPL, you know, on the OPL show, sure, like it's a regional event. I didn't expect to come here and just get flamed, you know? What the hell, man?
But they are very good players.
Yes.
Lloyd especially is, and I'm really excited to see him in this meta because he was always a mid-range AD carry, played a lot of Lucian, played a lot of Vayne when it was popular as well. And I want to see if he continues to play that style.
And I want to look at G4 as well, because interestingly, people have been saying this is not his meta. But he strikes me as a player that wants to play this meta sort of style when it wasn't meta. You know, like, he was the hipster, was playing Diana, playing Ahri, like assassins in the mid lane.
Playing Aurelia before it was reworked.
He played Aurelia into Faker and got Olaf'd, and it was an absolute disaster. But, you know, he was doing this before it was cool. So, like, people saying that it's not his meta, it's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And in saying that, they do have carries in other positions. Rocky was very hyped coming in to MSI. Didn't have the best performance there, but is someone that can certainly carry. And, you know, Rich down in the bottom lane, no slouch as well. Lloyd no longer playing with Moss, but Rich also a very good playmaking support. So this is a team that can definitely rise to the occasion. And Southeast Asia has always had a good tier 1 team.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes on that team, but obviously taking them on from Japan is Pentagram. Paz in the top lane. Once is their jungler Ramuni in the mid, and Yatori Moyashi ADC with Gang as his support.
And it's pretty interesting to talk about Pentagram because they've played this super finesse, super confidence-based composition where they picked a ton of AP into the Chiefs. Eventually, they turned around that game. They outlasted them, and it was very successful. But that just speaks to confidence for me from this lineup coming in. And they showed why they had that confidence.
They are experienced players. I think that is all you can put it down to. You know, Yatori Moyashi now for 3 years has been the pinnacle of AD carries, you know, challenging Utapon down there in the bottom lane.
Yep.
Ramune is a very, very good mid laner. Just point that out. So I think that this is a lineup that will be comfortable no matter where they are in gold lead. You heard them. They said, you know, we thought we outscaled. We just thought we had to slow the comp down. Like, I made mistakes, said Ramune, and we still won that game. It just speaks to how confident they are coming in.
Well, we're going into picks and bans. Swain has been removed. No surprises there. Has had so much priority here at day 1 of Rift Rivals, followed up by the Talia.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of success for that pick. I'm most interested coming into this to see what Ascension actually play, right? They're coming fresh off a Korean boot camp over there, spent a lot of time. We've said multiple times today, all of the Southeast Asian teams haven't played competitive games on a patch in like 7 or so patches, so coming in completely blind. As Pentagram, in terms of preparation, we saw Mineski willing to pull out a funnel.
Yep.
We just don't know what Ascension's going to play.
Absolutely. Ascension had played on 8.8, I believe MSI was played on.
True. Yep.
So we saw them a little bit more recently.
But it's still very different.
They went 2-4 in the group stages, I believe, finished up 3rd, so didn't have the best showing that they were hoping for. But, you know, once again, big playmakers, big damage threats. I expect to see all-in comps. I expect to see fast gameplay style.
I hope so.
And I remember when Oceanic players used to describe what it was like playing against this Ascension lineup. It was like they turned the lights out on Summoner's Rift. That they could be anywhere. Like, they used to sit in brushes, used to try and fight you at, like, level 3. It was just bonkers that they changed the way the game was played.
Because I feel like they were one of those regions that very early adopted the thought process of like, I don't care if I don't have vision, as long as you don't have vision either, and they will contest you constantly. The Southeast Asian region has always been super skirmish heavy, and that's what we see here today.
Well, we have had a couple more bans come through. It's going to be the Camille, the Nocturne, the Pike, and Pentagram looking to ban their last champion. 4 seconds left on the clock. Really dragging this out, putting a lot of thought into their picks and bans, and that will be a Rakam to close out Pentagram's ban phase.
And that makes sense to me, because if you're willing to ban Pike, you should probably be willing to ban one of the best engaged supports that actually has a laning phase in Rakan. You know, once again, heavy jungle priority coming through. Pentagram don't want to give one something that he can take over with.
And we've seen basically Nocturne, Talia. Talia's made it a few times, but these two junglers are super high priority for just about every single team. The Japanese team specifically have been prioritizing Morgana super heavily, and obviously Ascension willing to take it away.
Morgana feels like new Karma. Remember when Karma was just flexed into mid lane, flexed into support, you could just blind pick her. Like, she'd just push the lane early. Nothing really took her out. That's kind of what teams are doing with Morgana now.
And it's also super versatile, and like, you can play that, and you can give yourself illusion and play super aggressive, things like that. You can look for a lane phase, or if they pick like an Ornn, if they pick super hard engage, you can play that defensive style that we saw Gang actually demonstrate against the Chiefs. So it kind of just opens you up for everything, and you can't really be necessarily straight up counter.
Okay, well, going to be once again the Zoe for Pentagram. We saw Romani had a bit of a harder game. Did get picked off quite a lot, but it's also going to be a Lucian.
I think he actually had a very good game in like 3 really horrible moments, and that doesn't make sense all that much. But the first Baron that the Chiefs went for, he pretty much solo stalled that out until Yutori Moyashi could fly into the backline. He got a 4-man Hemo play, and that's what everyone will remember. But it was actually the Zoe beforehand. The reason I was actually very excited is he is blind picked Zoe, and G4 is an assassin player. Please give me an assassin.
Absolutely. I just want to see the LeBlanc. You know, that's a good matchup. We've seen it elsewhere. They have 11 seconds to potentially pick it here. Do they want to go for it? They have the Shen, they have the Morgana, so they have the defensive utilities, they have that global pressure already. They can just as easily pick an assassin, but it's going to be a Viking.
There is still a lot available. I mean, you can go Yasuo, you can go Aurelia, you can go the LeBlanc. Like, there are lots of things you can still play into this. You can play boring stuff like Galio as well, which would probably match this comp, but let's not talk about them.
None of that. None of that. Let's get the fun stuff, you know? Last game of the day. Let's bust it out.
Well, maybe we can have an Aatrox. Just throwing it out there. It's enabled.
It is possible.
But you sang his praises, mate, so...
I've just been seeing a couple of Oceanic top laners playing it. You know, maybe not in scrims, but in solo queue and things like that. And I'm just saying, it doesn't look as bad as what I was led to believe.
Everyone was reacting a day after it got revealed. The best top laner in the world doesn't know how to play that champion. Until it's like 3 weeks down the line minimum. So, very early reactions across the board.
Also, while we're on patches and, you know, new champions, I much prefer champions released like Aatrox, where people are like, he doesn't seem good, than champions that were released like Zoe, where it's like, she is so broken that I am going to use every ban in the game that I have to take her out, like, to the point where she just wasn't played. I like that philosophy a little bit more.
I can get behind that philosophy. Obviously, that was a Trundle picked up for Pentagram. They're also going to follow up their next ban phase with a Renekton and a Darius. It's been a Gragas from Ascension Gaming. One more ban remains. Any target bans you're expecting?
Well, the Gragas ban strikes me as pretty interesting. They already have the Morgana. We've seen that played mid. We've seen that played bot lane as well. Maybe they're looking for like a double mage bot lane, something like the Fiddlesticks, because Gragas did emerge as the counter pick to that. As on the other side, Pentagram just prioritizing the bully top lane, is getting rid of the Darius, getting rid of the Renekton.
I like this Mundo ban as well, because as you do move later, even though Lucian does build that Blade of the Ruined King, he has to use everything to kill him. And he doesn't want to be doing that. He wants to be diving in and killing whatever squishies Ascension will be picking in this next pick phase. And I also like the fact they're going to add a Tahm Kench to the mix as well. So if Lucian does go a little bit too ham, you can always pull him out and save him.
I mean, Tahm Kench is just really good against Morgana, and also Tahm Kench is really good into Zoe. So it just makes sense that, you know, it's a denial if they start swinging Morgana into weird places.
Not to mention, Olaf, if he goes in a team fight, he's all in. All you've got is a run away, and you're very squishy at that point, and all they have is single target. Before they lock the Ornn CC, you have the Shen, you have the Morgana bind. So Tahm Kench, despite not being the most aggressive laner with the Lucian, you can still play it up, and makes a lot of sense here.
That's the Morgana mid then for Ascension.
Or AD.
Or AD. But then you've got, is that an Ornn Morgana lane?
Yeah, potentially. Or
It's kind of like roll the dice and pick who you want at this
yeah,
point.
absolutely. It could be double Bruiser bottom lane and Shen on as well. Like, there are lots of ways you can skin a cat on the current patch of League of Legends. I mean, you don't even really know who's jungling yet, to be honest. G4's on the map. Maybe he wants to Olaf and Aurelia or something.
Maybe he wants to be the Olaf this time, as he might have actually just got his Aurelia. We were talking about it.
Oh, there it is! Aatrox is going to get locked in for Pentagram.
I really hope you're the expert, Jake.
I know a lot about it.
Because this is on you, mate. This is absolutely on you. It's your time to shine.
I mean, we'll wait till we get in the game. Obviously, 3-hit Q. If you land the Q on the highlighted zone, you get mini CC as well as additional damage and lifesteal back. Your W shoots out a projectile. If it hits, it creates a zone. They have to exit the zone, otherwise they get dragged back to where they began. Your E is like, pretend it's a Lucian dash or a Riven little dash. You don't get a shield, but you can reposition your Q, otherwise you're locked in the Q animation for everything else. And then your ultimate is like your old school passive. You become really big, and then if you die, you go into GA form, but you can kind of crawl around.
Yeah, you're so
which is
slow
what I
to
like about it.
reposition.
You're just like, ah.
Yeah, you're actually just like hobbling around, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's a bit weird.
You're untargetable though, so Tahm Kench can't eat you to reposition you.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, okay, just double checking. So at least the team can then just work around his repositioning. But realistically, I expect to see the Aatrox in a side lane pretty much all game, just split pushing away.
Oh, no, like, I mean, AoE CC, that's useful at all stages of the game in team fights. And, you know, the ability to nosedive in. I have faith that this could be a good team fight pick.
Because the nosedive is actually like kind of pinnacle Aatrox even before the rework. He's one of the top laners and the split pushers that can get a lead in the side lane and translate that into a team fight victory very easily. The flankers like Camille, like the Jax, always very successful like that. So Aatrox, not too different there despite the rework.
Now, gentlemen, we do get to cast, and you guys at home do get to watch the first professional Aatrox played since the rework.
I hope you have all the ability names memorized.
I have just Googled it.
Good.
I'm just going to break the
That's
fourth
a good
wall
strat. As the Aatrox connoisseur, predict the scoreline right now. Let's go. Of
Ooh.
Paz on the Aatrox.
All right, I'm real confident.
Okay.
I reckon he's going to be like 8-2-5
Ooh,
and like hard carry the game.
That is a good game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the people complaining about how bad the Aatrox rework
That's
is.
why I
This
want
is
him
the
to
first
do it.
comp game. Yeah, this is like an 8-2. That's a banger performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want like everyone out there to really just see him pop off, and, like carry the LJL region to a 2-2 performance.
And pretty defensive start across the board. Once again, it's one of those situations where Pentagram's lineup isn't very good level 1. They do have a Morgana and an Olaf. Shen can also level the taunt, so Ascension, if they wanted to look for something, there's always that possibility, but ultimately just playing it pretty safe. Their bottom lane is super safe. Morgana, Shen, very defensive into something like a Tahm Lucian. I expect Lucian just to be able to farm up quite fine, maybe just get shoved in a little bit once Morgana gets those levels.
I mean, the worry I have about the Pentagram bottom lane is not for Yutori Moyashi. He should be fine. But if Gung gets hit by CC early and Olaf is there, Tahm Kench is actually a really good target to gank.
Same as Ali, pre-level 6, and this Tahm Kench, like we saw earlier in the day, did not go Spellbook. So he doesn't have a cleanse when he gets to that 6-minute mark and swap it out. He actually just goes for the straight-up combat stats of the Guardian, wants the shield, but no ability to get out of CC.
Hard push. Woo.
Really least jungler.
I mean, you can do that into a Shen Morgana. There's no way they can really contest you on that first push, especially if you've cleared the wave out quick. So it's just give them a little bit of time to kind of play some wards.
And it is interesting in terms of like a Morgana lane. If you get shoved in, it's very hard to shove back out. As a Tahm Kench lane, you don't have any real ability to impact the wave.
Oh,
very nice trade.
He landed every one of those Darkin Blades.
Darkin Blades.
Already flexing. I like that. Just weave him in there.
But I want to talk about, because we came into today talking about the Southeast Asian region. They haven't played in so long. Like, what are they going to play? All of a sudden, Paz has just picked brand new Aatrox. How many games has Rocky played against this? In solo queue, in scrims, like I guarantee you it's very little in terms of competitive level games. And so he's going to be on the other end of that, where he doesn't really know what he's letting.
He's going to be like Hiprain right now. He's going to be Googling in his
the abilities.
screen the abilities and what they do. He doesn't really care about the name of them. He just wants to know what happens when he gets hit.
I'm the other way around. I just want to know the names so I can yell them. It's going to be fun to see exactly what Paz is going to be able to do on this Aatrox. I do predict it to be a little bit quieter to begin with. Although he is already starting out of a trade, throws down the Infernal Chains, and Rocky does make his way out.
See, that's a cool ability. Because you have to
Just a
run
big zone.
sideways.
It's a
can't
very
run
unique
backwards.
interaction as well.
Yeah, so it's actually big enough, I believe.
Brutal.
Yeah, he's untradeable against. Once again, so if you run straight out of the zone, you always get dragged back unless you have a dash.
Okay.
Maybe Swifties impact that, but no one builds Swifties.
This is brutal. Ornn is one of the top laners, one of the tanks that survives best in these bully matchups. And already just getting constantly shoved in by the Aatrox. Also, I don't know what skin that is on the Aatrox, but the Honeycomb
Mecha.
looks real good. Mecha? Okay.
It's Mecha.
Yeah, and I think it's Mecha with a chroma as well.
Yeah.
So he's got the right thing about if it has a chroma, you have to wear it. Look, he's just destroying it.
Yeah, but he might be on the receiving end of a gank. The Infernal Chains are coming out, and he's trying to put that damage up, but now Delpain's on the chase. Flash from Paz. Make sure he gets out A-OK.
And that's a very respectful flash. That's a Trundle doing golems. He can walk over. He could have bought enough time. That Olaf wasn't going anywhere near him. There's not a lot of damage. Olaf would have had to commit super hard to actually get onto him. So a very respectful flash out of Paz.
You have to remember, though, the dash on the Aatrox is very, very short. So I kind of agree with the respect flash in a way. You know, you might not have died, but why on the risk? You're doing very well in this lane currently.
And
Don't risk it.
The big thing about Aatrox is he's no longer melee. And people are going to be like, he is so. And yes, he has to hit you from melee range, but his Q is like a 300-ish range attack. So I can see him being a real pain in the bum for tanks. Because you can see every time the tank goes for a CS, they have no AD. He's just like knocking him up a little bit. He's jolting him around. He's frustrating him in the lane. So it's almost like that poke out tool that you have before you do go for the all-in. So I like it.
And speaking about winning lanes on the bottom side of the map, Pentagram, this Lucian Tahm Kench, burnt all of Morgana's pots, who's already had to base and recall back to the lane, did Lloyd. And that's in a TP matchup where the opponent has heal, so being able to force them out that early is a big deal. Looking for a flank here, actually.
Looking to go in. Just going to get a couple of auto attacks out for the moment. And I want to have a little look at the mid lane as well. We've been very, very focused on the top side for the moment. Ramune on the Zoe versus G4 on this Aurelia. You said assassins do very, very well into Zoe. You can't have like a pseudo bruiser assassin with that Aurelia. How does this matchup really start to work out?
I mean, I actually think this is one of those matchups where if you have a good jungle matchup, which they do, early game, no one really goes like Olaf does. I mean, still, Once is doing a very good job of pathing around the map. I think that G4 is a little bit further behind than I would expect him to be because he should have all-in potential. Maybe it's the exhaust.
There's also potential that Delpain hasn't actually based yet. So Olaf pre-Predator, pre-Boots, first buy, like doesn't really have a whole lot of gank potential. So just kind of chilling, getting zoned out a little bit here and there by the Zoe. But once that level 6 hits, Aurelia's all-in potential skyrockets. You have an Olaf that, once he has those boots, can just zoom in from the side lane, do so much damage. So there's always going to be that kill threat.
Well, currently just forcing a wave into Ramune.
He's not really trading with Ramune at all, I just noticed. Like, he hasn't thrown out one stun while we've been watching that. Big creep wave there. Ramune would have taken aggro off it, but instead just happy to kind of shove the wave in. He's just bouncing farm at the moment.
Just playing it safe, playing it respectful. As it's going to be a big trend across the day for a lot of these teams. Everyone, day number 1, you know, jitters in terms of coming onto stage. Just want to have that good, solid day 1 performance.
How does it feel going to a foreign place and playing day 1? Like, is it that nerve-wracking?
Yeah. I feel like most players, hold that thought.
Looking to go onto Paz. He's going to get knocked up and just destroyed. He uses the Worldbringer to stay alive, so he's going to be able to reposition and revive. They're now turning it back on to Rocky. He's going to go up, but he didn't quite land all of the Darkened Blades, but it doesn't matter, because Once is able to get the kill. Deathbringer stats is available to Paz, so he has a bit of range on his auto attacks as well. Delpan forced a flash over the wall.
And new Aatrox is not that bad. Able to turn the gank. Absolutely monstrous performance from Paz.
Has nothing to do with Ascension expending all their resources into the Aatrox, and suddenly Trundle comes in with a cleanup.
G4 goes in with the Vanguard's Edge, misses out on the Sleepy Bubble Trouble, and the Ignite does not quite tick in enough, but here comes Once. He's looking for G4. Great pillar to slow him down, looking in for the trade. The rest of the team are starting to collapse in. Here comes Gang, has that Tongue Lash, has that damage available. He's going to be able to gobble him up. Rich is here as well, and Yaturu Miyashi joins into the fight. That's going to be another kill onto Once, as he's got 2 and 0 on the board.
And just the early collapse from Pentagram. They get up there. Gang went through the enemy jungle, flanked behind the Aurelia. So, flashless Aurelia, no ability to get away, and once you're in melee range of the Tahm Kench, just gobbles you up.
Absolutely,
Free kill.
does so much damage at this stage of the game. And the big thing there was the fact that Delpain still had not recalled. He had been forced out top, he had to flash the wall, he ran to his Raptors, hadn't recalled, so they just knew the jungler wasn't in the play. Gang, going aggressive.
Was having a little look for it, but sides can't quite find that Morgana for the moment.
And this is one of those sort of matchups where Morgana has to be super precise with the usage of the Black Shield. There's a very nice culling comes up from Yatoro Mayasi, but you can't use it early like that against a Tahm Kench, because his Tongue Lash will still apply the passive, and he will break the shield as well, because he maxes that. You have to put multiple points in the shield as Lloyd to kind of get around that, and once you have AP, it sort of dissuades, so more so once you leave the laning phase. But if you blow that Black Shield early, then once Lucian gets the Cutlass, he suddenly has a bit of soft CC, and the all-in potential from something like a Tahm Lucian lane that doesn't strike you as aggressive is pretty big.
And that was a big kill, because if G4 had been able to maintain his flash, he had burnt everything from Ramune with one all-in. He'd equalized CS after being about 15 down. Would have been able to start, you know, exerting pressure with that Summoner Spell advantage. But the fact that once was there, very good counter game. Sets the tempo of how he's going to help his mid laner out.
Yeah, it's just a big swing in terms of momentum. We do see it's actually going to be an Earth Drake spawning. No more Oceans, as our teams will prioritize that one pretty highly.
And I think Pentagram are in a good position to contest that. They've got the shove in that bot lane. Once Ramone gets back into lane as well, he's going to have a decent shove as well versus G4 on this Aurelia. Paz doesn't have teleport though, so if they do want to go for a fight, you won't have your Aatrox joining in.
Yeah, but I feel like it is going to be about the bottom side of the map. Of course, Ramune in the mid lane wants to try and get priority on the Aurelia. Bottom lane for Pentagram, obviously they do, but the fact that Shen is in this bottom lane means that Paz really can't look to all in and on. He is so tanky, he has grass procs, he will live for so long. Suddenly a Shen comes through. I mean, if you can't dive him, if you can proxy the wave, then that's a pretty good alternative, but it's very hard to all in.
And look how confident Paz is as well. He's able just to stand away from his turret aggressively and just get some damage down. He's trying to pressure out and get first turret blood as quick as possible and get this snowball going.
I will say, new Aatrox looks a lot less menacing when he runs around, because he's pretty slow, you know? He puts his sword away, he just kind of wanders.
Yeah, you wait until he gets an Iron Elixir and pops his ulti though, because then all of a sudden...
He's big.
He's big.
Well, he is actually getting dove underneath the tower. They're going to throw down that Call of the Forge God. Here comes Delpan looking to try and find himself an opening. Worldbringer gets thrown out by Paz as he's trying to stay alive. Here comes Once trying to turn it around, and Paz revives back up nice and easy.
And how annoying is this champion?
Yeah.
Like, it's looking pretty good right now.
It is. It is. That's two situations like
I
the
kind of
same
hate that
thing.
you're right.
I do too. I do too. That's two of the same situation, you know, like they have killed the Aatrox, but all of a sudden there's a Trundle, you know, press the attack, he does so much damage, he's already finished his Red Smite, 2 kills as well, they can't just commit further. So as long as he has that revive up, then it's very rough to deal with. There was a bit of greed on Paz's behalf, he was like trying to proxy behind without knowing where Delpan on that Olaf was, so does lose one of his multiple lives.
At the same time though, right now you have your mid laner without flash in a counter matchup where there is a lot of pressure. So if you think that you can survive, you have your flash available, you have your ultimate available. If you can absorb pressure, if you can bring the jungler to you, that's a massive victory for Pentagram. It's giving Once all this free time.
Because he was also soloing the Rift Herald before that play happened. He wanted to start this up earlier. They want to play towards this top side right now. Ascension looking for something in the bottom lane, but spotted on Vision, and this is a pretty hard lane to gank. Lucian has the dash, Tahm Kench has that safety, and it's just going to be a trade top.
Yeah, turret's going to go down nice and easy. Not going to give the solo gold over to Paz.
Feels bad.
But it looks like we might see a counterplay happen here in the bot side. Starting to stack up, but the culling has gone down from Yatoro Miyashi and just dissuades the dive.
This might be the second turret going down. Delpan really spent too much time down there for no executed gank. They can just sit here and hit the turret if they want.
One actually going in, looking for a bit of a trade here.
Needs to be a little careful. Remember, Subjugate is available to Once. And that is good by Rocky. He was able to kill out that Rift Herald, but a lot of damage goes down onto that tier 2 in the top side.
It's just an unanswered trade, you know? They got like basically 1.5 turrets. G4 now actually looking for Once on the top side.
Has got that Vanguard's Edge. Great pillar by Once, but here comes the Call of the Forge God. Not going to land the knock up. A beautiful sidestep. Will mean he walks out.
He didn't even have to flash. That's an immobile Trundle, no dashes.
That is a feels bad, man.
And that's a big tool. You know, they have found success trying to gank the top side with that on. Paz, without the availability of that revive, potentially can look up there. This bottom lane is just constantly being shoved in. when Delpane isn't around. When he isn't pressuring the bot side, when they know where he is, they just have no priority.
And this is where you're seeing the CS advantage come through for the side of Pentagram. All the other lanes are going pretty even. Obviously, Paz now getting the turret will give him a big gold boost. But Pentagram have a CS lead here in this bot lane. Yotori Miyashi on this Lucian, getting ahead.
Kind of just grinding it out, to be honest. Like the first turret going down, you know, that's 1,000 gold. First blood plus an assist plus another kill, that's probably another 1,000 gold. So the 2,000 gold is primarily being held on the top side of the map. However, it is always nice where you've been left alone in the lane and 2v2, you're just accumulating a gold lead. So you've got to take your hats off to him.
Because grind is absolutely the right word, right? Like they're not losing mid, which is a big win in terms of that Aurelia matchup. We talked about the big swing blowing all the summoners, and suddenly G4 doesn't have that all-in threat. Bot lane's winning, top lane is winning. Once found access to 2 early kills and has been absolutely fine in the jungle matchup. So despite the lead on paper not being all that big, with an item spike onto Paz, with Bork now finished onto the Lucian, things are starting to step up for Pentagram.
This is very, very good with that Bork as well, because he's obviously laning into a tank on that Shen. Health percent is going to be quite nice for him as once. Just trying to get some vision control around this Infernal Drake. Has that capability to solo it nice and simple as Paz. Taking a 1v1 versus Rocky, throws down the Infernal Chains and
he's got a dash.
Forced to dash away.
He can get out. That's the rule.
But the big thing here is that all of a sudden, I want to see who gets Once's, what's it called? Zeeks?
Yeah, okay.
This is how you know how strong the champion really is.
Yeah, okay.
You give the Zeeks to the Lucian, you're like, okay, this is standard.
Yep.
You give it to the Aatrox on the top lane, maybe people are going to start being like, hey, you Aatrox ain't that bad.
You want to know, from a support's perspective,
yep.
Super interesting thing, the difference between Knight's Vow and Zeeks. Because Zeeks you can just spam. You can change that constantly. As Binding's actually going to land on the bot side for the commit.
Oh,
they
right,
do.
Cullen, great taunt coming through. Here comes Delpan. We're going in for the fight. Lloyd goes golden, throws out the ultimate. It doesn't actually connect onto anyone but one. Call of the Forge Gods getting answered back, and here comes Rocky. Paz on the side with that World Ender as we see the Vanguard's Edge come through as well. That's going to be one instantly picked up by Rocky. By Paz, as now the rest of the team are chasing up for more. It's going to be everything going in favor of Pentagram as they are chasing. Here's Paz on the flank. He's looking for Rich. He can't quite find it. And they are chasing on for one more as Ramuni flashes forward, looking for those auto attacks, looking for the damage with a paddle star, goes up forward and gets the sleepy bubble trouble.
And it just took so long for Ascension to actually find a pick. G4 went into the backline looking for the assassination. All of a sudden, flashes come out of the Pentagram lineup. He gets exhausted. The Aurelia goes in, doesn't find the kill. Now 0, 2, and 2. And Pentagram able to just win that fight and push 2 lanes.
And on the back line, Paz was just keeping multiple members busy, Bryce. Was just able to waste all their time, picked up a kill for himself.
He didn't have an Iron Elixir, but he's absolutely a big boy. But it was Ascension going in for the play. Lloyd, super aggressive flashes, multiple TPs come through. It doesn't matter when an Ornn TP's like so far behind the fight because his range is just so big, but here you see Paz come into the side.
Certainly do. He's able to pick up Lloyd immediately. Remember, that is the marksman carry kind of Morgana right there. Meanwhile, Ramune is just popping off in the back line. When you can come to a fight late, but it's still even numbers as a Zoe, fantastic feeling.
Not to mention, they just have so many threats, and all of the tools were used to get onto Yotori Miyashi. He was on the Lucian, he fell down super low, and they kept chasing, and Ramune was just free to hit.
Yeah, and Rocky just died. I don't see actually who was able to pick that
Looked
kill
like Gang
up.
grabbed him. Probably ate him. Spat him out.
Spat him out, you know. Percentage health damage onto the tanks.
Tom ulted in the Lucian.
Yep.
And they just took him alive, really.
It's a very early Black Shield from Lloyd.
What the heck?
He's just spitting lasers at his tummy.
Someone actually tweeted this at me and Rusty because we were asking about defiling Karthus and said Lucian can culling inside Tahm Kench's belly, and there you go.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Did you watch the Care Bears?
The Care Bears?
Yeah.
No.
They did this thing called the Care Bear stare where they shot a laser beam out of their stomach that traumatized me as a kid.
They don't sound very caring.
No, they're not.
They had like love hearts on their tummy and like rainbows. And
yeah,
things.
but they absolutely blew bad guys to smithereens. I had to brag it to you.
Didn't know that was like a
watched
show. Or I just thought they were little soft plushy toys that you could buy as a kid, you know?
No price.
I mean, like, what are toys made for? They're made, well, shows are made to sell the toys, right?
Okay. That's it. That's it. As Earth Drake hasn't been prized by either of these two teams. We're just moving on from Care Bears, you know, who cares? not the Bears, obviously. PGM care very much about this bot lane turret. Rich and Lloyd have just been shoved in here, constantly pressured, and all of a sudden the O-Life isn't around. This time it goes down, and Gold lead just extending for Pentagram.
Oh, Paz is on the flank, maybe looking for G4. G4's got the gang, the TP coming through. That will be Lloyd's joining in. Make that Rich.
Yeah, that's just a random Shen joining the party. So can see right now that they really have no control over anywhere on the map. Like everything right now belongs to Pentagram. And
it lands.
Oh, that did land indeed. Pops the ultimate to make sure he's alive once, stepping forward into Rich, and it looks like Pentagram are just going to be able to take this red buff with absolutely no contestation, but now they can turn towards the Drake.
But the Drake as well, absolutely. Everything is just going Pentagram's way. They're not getting kills, but they're getting the small victories. Suddenly, G4, he's exhausted, he has to walk away. They have to expend Shen ultimate and the TP from Lloyd to try and dissuade Pentagram from going for the kill. They just walk in, take the red buff, take the Earth Drake, everything on the up and up.
And what do they build right now on Paz? Do you reckon that is, you know, something like Yomu's, or is it
Yomu's?
Is it Death Dance, you reckon?
That'd probably make a little bit more sense. You're the expert, mate. What's his build?
Not an item we've seen in a while, Death Dance. There's G4 in a bit of trouble. We'll talk about the build later.
Yep, throws down that Vanguard edge. Now they're re-engaging, actually. The Ram Jam's going to get thrown out, and once is ignited and drops down. G4 with the Triumph stays alive.
Triumph OP, Bryce. Triumph is OP.
Not to mention, this time Once actually had to flash from the Ram Jam, as you like to call it, and he dies anyway. That's the secret, you know. Don't hit your flash button. Don't get hit by Ornn ulti. That's genius.
Is that really the secret?
Maybe not.
If you're good, yes.
If you're lucky, yes, I think is the caveat to that.
Oh, we can't.
I'd rather be lucky than good. Would you rather be lucky or good?
Yeah, I'd rather be lucky.
I'd rather be good.
Did you not see Deadpool 2?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh.
Yeah, so no spoilers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, get rid of it. Get it out of here.
All I'm going to say is luck's pretty good.
Ooh, actually, yeah, he's going for Death Stance. I like that. Or Edge of Night, but maybe Death Stance.
I'd assume that's a Death Stance.
No, it is Death Stance because Edge of Night doesn't have a Caulfield's Warhammer.
Yep.
Or a Cauliflower Hammer.
Cauliflower Hammer.
Lots of people like to call
Cauliflower
it.
Hammer, I like that.
Moving on once again. Real smooth segue away from
I like how you're the one pulling it back
the
to
absolute
normalcy.
memes that are being sprouted right now. 20 minutes has hit the mark. Of course, Baron is now up and available. They put Paz bot side in the long lane against the Ornn. They just want him to constantly apply pressure. That's a kill onto the Aatrox into a 0-2 Ornn, Rocky. Because the Aurelia floating down means Paz has to respect him for the time being, but certainly in control down here.
Oh, it's just leashing it for Rocky for the moment. Rocky is going to be able to take that away. Paz, though, still has a lot of pressure in this bot lane. Wherever he goes, Rocky just really feels it as the rest of Pentagram have now made their way back towards mid, and this now alleviates some pressure for Paz so he can step further forward again.
Did you ever watch Evangelion?
No.
He kind of looks like an Ava.
That's what he's based on.
Ah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I know what that looks like, but I've never seen the show.
Okay.
Going back to League of Legends, I really like the deploy. And I want to say that before you started talking about anime.
Okay.
From Pentagram, the fact that they put Zoe in the top side against the bottom lane of Ascension, with a Tahm Kench mid, with Abyssal Voyage, they can just like go up behind them in the long lane. There's no turret. You can get ganks onto multiple members of Ascension. As talking about ganks, Ascension, trying to turn the favor.
Looks like Once is maybe toying with the idea of going on Rich, but it's just taunt over that wall.
Right now, they're actually just drawing people towards the Baron area, and Paz is continually split pushing. Eventually, he's going to get enough AD items that this is just going to go even further in his favor. I mean, you can see right now Rocky's trying to mess with him, but it's not really doing much.
That's going to be the ulti used by Delpan, forcing him to run away. As Paz actually starting to lose the trade here. Call of the Forge God's going to come down. Paz will take it this time. Does have that World Ender on for the moment, so going to use this to reposition as Delpan's here on the chase. Is there a flash? He can get over that wall. There's even a blast cone to boot. Paz will be able to walk away. That World Ender is so annoying and Rich! Just taken out by Yatori Mayashi.
And this time,
G4 goes in with that Vanguard's edge. He's looking to try and get himself one, but he's going to get dropped down by Once. Even throwing everything onto Lloyd. Lloyd's going in aggressively, but Paz is coming in with the Darkened Blade. With that damage, Aatrox is coming up. Not going to be able to chase for more, and I completely take that back. Rocky teleports in a little bit too late.
Die, Paz.
He's trying to make this happen. Paz is dead.
No, he is.
Okay, it looks like all of Ascension are actually turning this around. What happened there?
Blackpool, Darkpool, real strong. Apparently just dropped one over the wall, got a couple of kills there, but that all went so wrong for Ascension. G4 saw it. He saw the triple kill in his head, but one kill denied it. Let's take another look.
It was all in the stopwatch, right? Like, very early culling. The bubble comes out, so they pick on Rich. Has to burn the flash on the side of the Lucian, and G4 sees his opportunity here. He turns around with a pillar.
Right here, he's like, I'm going to get them all. Flashes over the wall.
And the stopwatch.
Oh, those damn kids.
Meddling kids ruin everything. Paz, of course, did just get shoved out of the bottom side, had to burn his flash, but that means he goes back to base. TP's in full HP. They continue the dive here. Delphine gets dragged back in, and Lloyd, on the back end of this, does well to trade the kills. Tormented Soil, as you mentioned, on the back end, picks up a nice couple of kills with the turret helping out, and Ascension trade relatively even in a situation that was looking pretty dire.
Looking very, very horrible. But don't worry, Paz dying is good for you, though. Because you predicted that Paz was going to go 9-1 on the Aatrox.
I went 8-2, didn't I?
Yeah, you got both the numbers right.
Well, it doesn't matter because he's now one death closer to your prediction.
Just a little bit optimistic. And I want to say that the death stance now completed is very good for Paz in the sideline. Because we saw he was actually getting bullied out when he overcommitted to the turret with Rocky. Now that he actually has lifesteal, he's going to be completely fine just pushing in, ignoring the Ornn, taking 25% of his HP, backing off, healing up, and just rinse repeating. And it's going to be much harder for Rocky to deal with him down bottom.
And so much of his game plan just seems to be frustration. As we actually have a big collapse coming in topside. Do they actually pull the trigger?
Finding goes very wide.
Doesn't look like they're going to pull that trigger, but they could try and get that turret down. Meanwhile, Paz quite happily free shoving away for the moment.
And that's the thing, this is a lot of members committed to the top side of the map for Ascension, and Paz is just solo pushing. He's a one-man pressure point for Pentagram, and he's just going to get the turret, whereas Ascension haven't even got theirs.
Well, Pentagram is still able to even shove in the mid lane as well and get a bit of turret damage down. This is very good for Pentagram, and that turret still remains in the top side for Ascension. This will be the tier 2 falling down in that bot lane. Paz just able to solo that out.
And Rocky's just saying, I need to be there for the team fight. That's the way we win the team fight, is if I'm actually using the Ornn ulti. Actually, they've got someone out.
Once it's been engaged onto, is Ramone trying to get that damage down. That's going to be Rich, gobbled up by Gang to make sure he's alive. A great Vanguard's edge, and the re-engage is coming in. Here comes the call of the Forge God. This time, once can't sidestep it, and this time he has a Viking on the chase. That's going to be now Paz going in 1v5. I don't think he can do it. He does have that World Ender. He's going to try and reposition, but it's not going to be enough. Paz is going to get shut down.
And Jake, Aatrox might be OP, but he's not 1 versus 5 OP. The one-man army, not enough for Pentagram there. They find themselves a nice couple of kills. Baron is up, there's 5 members. They can look for the buff.
We don't call him OP. We call him not that bad.
Not that bad?
So he's not OP.
This is some
like
hella
you're backpedaling
backtrack
a bit
right
here.
Yeah,
Absolutely not. I said not that bad the whole time. If we can find a singular soundbite where I called him OP, I will erase it so we never hear it again.
Well, this Baron will be uncontested by Pentagram. They just don't have their jungler. They don't have the resources to be able to contest it. Itori Miyashi forces a wave into that bot side, but it's all they're going to be able to get. And Ascension starting to turn the heat up.
And that is a huge swing. There's still 3,000 gold in a deficit. Itori Miyashi is trying to trade on the other side, but they just found the window. Once it's been caught out a few times this game, all of a sudden Ascension have all the tools to capitalize. Paz is far enough away without TP that he's walking, and he's so strong. But they don't have to deal with him for so long. Multiple members flashing away for Pentagram. The carries can't actually deal damage, so they just chase down the tanks.
This kind of feels like a little bit of a lack of communication here from Pentagram. Paz just came snowballing into that and then just fell over.
He was feeling it.
Yeah.
He was absolutely feeling it. Until he wasn't.
Absolutely.
But he definitely was in the beginning.
The big thing for me there was I don't even actually really know what Once was trying to achieve. Because they were playing through 2 lanes. Like, bottom lane had already fallen. Mid lane was like going to go down. It's on absolutely no health at the moment. But he randomly just walked into Baron, an area where they had no control, and face-checked a Morgana, who had walked down from top side. They saw Lloyd on the wave. So kind of a questionable play there, Bryce, I think is the nicest way we could put it.
There was Ascension members on literally all 3 sides of him. Walks into the choke, all of a sudden CC lands. Gang tries to save him at the detriment of his own life, so Baron buff going over to Ascension,
They're going to lose the entirety of the God League because there's no way they can actually clear out these massive waves right now.
Not to mention it buys a lot of time for Rocky in the top side. If he has to actually split against Paz right now, Tang's base damage is honestly pretty good. He's gone for a more aggressive Iceborne Gauntlet build here. Also has the Bramble Vest working on that Thornmail, so with Baron creeps would be able to stand toe-to-toe to an Aatrox if he needed to.
Well, looks like for now Ascension starting to go forward with that Baron buff, trying to poke some damage down. Delphan on that side. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will connect, but not going to mean too much as the turret will go down and Ascension ascending forward into Pentagram space.
Not to mention, all we've seen today is support Morganas, where their abilities don't actually deal damage. The pool is just for an airy proc, but this one has the AP to back it up. That's a Luden's, that's a Zhonya's. So every bunny that lands has to be immediately eaten by Gang, otherwise a whole bunch of damage is following it up.
That's the culling nerf coming through as well. He does 200 damage to minions.
Yep. And the other big thing you saw there is, oh, actually G4 looking for it potentially, not going to find anything. Gang's eat actually doesn't outlast the duration of the Morg Dark Binding. That's how long it lasts for.
Ate him up, spat him out, was still bound.
Yep.
Sitting on top of a pool, double airy procs there as Pentagram desperately trying to defend the base. If they can hold on to the turret after Ascension, actually,
As is going
that's
pretty
a split
hard
fight.
here. That's a great Infernal Chains. Even going to throw down the ultimate, trying to get a pick onto Rocky as he is chasing him down.
He's so annoying.
Yeah.
He's just got so much minuscule CC, attack after attack.
It's like disruption. It's not even like real CC.
Yep.
It's just like you're bouncing around on it. It's like when you're trying to sit on your trampoline, read a book, you know,
someone's bouncing.
and your brother's just bouncing next to you, just annoying the heck out of you.
It feels bad. You know, it's like when Ornn hits you with the double hammers. You know, knocks you around a bit, knocks you a bit of a slap back. Doesn't lock you down for too much.
Well, good thing for Pentagram was they were able to hold on to that turret for the moment.
That's a big deal. I mean, the goal lead still is actually in their favor. So they were heavily ahead through that fight in the mid lane, lost the Baron. All of a sudden, we're now, instead of a 5,000 gold deficit for Ascension, it's a 1,000 gold deficit. But the game's certainly not unwinnable for Pentagram at this stage. They're still strong. They just lost that last passage of play.
But I think the big thing for me here is that there are some areas of the map they are going to start getting outscaled. Historically, Lucian is either far enough ahead to deal with bruises, or he's just not. And right now, we haven't really seen Yutori Moriyashi take over one of those team fights with G4, with Lloyd there, because they have such good tools to deal with it.
Not to mention, if we take a look at his build, he's actually going for the Essence Reaver. We haven't seen this too much. Normally you see the Bork into the Cleaver and go into other things. Essence Reaver has sort of developed into a very luxury item.
Yeah.
In the cases where it's effective, it is so damn good. You get your ulti off, you don't get one-shot by the Aurelia, and you can just clean up tanks on the front line. You can just eat through everyone. So in terms of popping off, Yutori Moriyashi has the potential here. It just relies on a very specific set of circumstances.
This is also a very, very big spike for him now. Now he's got the Cleaver, now he's got the Bork, and to follow up, like you said, the Essence Reaver. This is a big, big power spike for him for the moment, but he needs to make this work.
I think he just needed a Lord Doms.
Yep.
Like, look at their front line.
Stun.
Oh,
QSS.
G4's going in forward. There's going to be the call of the forward squad, only connecting onto one.
Culling.
Great health is instantly popped to Ramuni on the side. Here comes Paz. He's gone over the wall. He's looking to put the damage down. Rich is somehow still alive, and he's not down yet. It's a 1-for-1 trade for both of the teams for the moment, but we've still got the solo cutting out. Ascension are finding their picks, are finding their foot in this game as G4 gets a triple kill. He's not going to get the quadra because it's stolen away, and Once is the only one who remains.
And you really got to question whether if he did have the Lord Doms, would he have been able to shred through the tanks? Because the entire fight, Yutori Moriyashi was waylaying into the front line, but G4 just cleaned house.
And it was such a split fight. He started with the culling on the Lucian. He had all the buffs, had the attack speed, had the cooldowns on every single auto attack, but the Aurelia, once he got on top of him, immediately eaten. There was potential. Another build could have burned through the Ornn, could have burned through multiple members, but it's just a wipe there for Pentagram.
Once trying to proxy the wave, trying to force it out. Doesn't matter, they've got too many tanks on the side of Ascension, and the Rift Rivals leaders, Japan, the champions, the defending, starting to struggle.
And this was absolutely a game that was in their control. What, like 8 to 10 minutes ago, they had a 5,000 gold lead. They were setting up around the Baron. Paz was split pushing in the side lane, was starting to become a huge nuisance. One opportunity, Ascension fine in the mid side. They all collapse. They have the engage tools. Ornn goes in, Morgana binding lands. Things like that. It's completely turned the game on its head. Lose Baron, lose an inhib, and all of a sudden they're behind.
And it's starting to really look like G4's meta.
Yep.
He's very, very comfortable right now on the Aurelia. 5-3-5, you know, up 70 CS. We haven't talked about it, but he is just a vacuum for those creeps. So I think that he is definitely the member they need to pay some serious attention to.
They do have tools to deal with it, right? Like you have a Tahm Kenshin that can stop the one-shot potential from the Aurelia. once just decides to use the ulti on the Irelia to try and burn through her rather than something like the Ornn or the Olaf. There's always that potential there for Pentagram. This is it's a pretty ballsy Dragon take here. 20 seconds on the Baron, 15 now. Pentagram have absolutely entire control of top river, and essentially are going to have to face check it eventually.
You have to be very, very careful. You can see for the moment, Pentagram pushing that wave out, but what we do have to keep in mind is the minions will naturally push into Pentagram because there's supers in that mid lane. So regaining control of the mid lane, of the Baron area is relatively easy.
And if there was a inhib turret up, that would have absolutely been a base race. Ascension could have just ran straight up mid. They have mid priority. They can flank behind Pentagram if they keep pushing on the side lane, but because they've already got supers in the mid lane, nothing really for them to push, so they drop a turret, kind of reset a bit.
And this is the thing, it's so hard to re-access mid-wave once you've gone that deep into the jungle. So at that stage, your only real choice is to recall. Otherwise, you know, once and Paz have to start walking back towards mid lane. If you get caught out in any of the choke points by Lloyd, by G4, you're going to be, or Rocky for that matter, you're going to absolutely have a team fight that you're not willing to really fight at this stage of the game. They need Flash available on Ramune. They need probably level 16 for Yutori Moyashi, and they would love a Last Whisper.
Yep. He's currently working on it. He does actually have the Zeeks this time, so Paz hasn't got himself a cheeky little Zeeks buff. They have put it onto the AD carry of the Lucian, but everyone's just fighting over Baron control. Bubble lands.
It's going to be a bubble. Not going to be able to chase for anything else as G4. Going to walk that off for the moment, and it looks like Pentagram just trying to regain control of the Baron pit.
Both teams actually have a pink ward in the pit, and Pentagram had access. They just choose not to take it, prioritizing the mid lane here. That's a very nice pillar to block the Olaf in.
4 auto attacks is a long time.
It is, especially when you're like a Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
If you're not a Lucian or a Trundle, you're probably not clear on that one.
I really hate control wards at this stage of the game. Do you know the best item in the game? Duskblade.
Oh, because you just
one-hit wards.
Only if you melee though.
Yeah.
I don't play a lot of melees. Actually, that's just a Baron start.
Ascension are starting it up. That ward was cleared out. Going to throw down the Scry's Orb for the moment.
No teleport available for Paz. This is a 5v4.
He's pretty far away. That's going to be Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Just dissuading for the moment. And actually, Ascension going back on to the Baron.
They've kept it aggroed.
All of the forge got by Rocky though. Looks like they've done it already. Messed that up. That is a big misplay. Now Pentagram may be looking to try and go for the chase, but still have to be very, very careful because Ascension are fed.
And I think Ascension were just ticking down the clock. Bot lane is pushing into Pentagram, and you mentioned Paz has no TP. Top lane is huge as well, and they have supers mid. They just wanted to force Pentagram towards the Baron pit. If they get a pick, sure, they can turn it around. They have Ornn ulti. Unfortunately, it goes incredibly wide, and they don't get the engage they're looking for, so they just back away.
Everything went right there until the Ornn ulti flew into the blissful sunset, never to be seen again. Because they had done such a great job of dragging them over. These creep waves, you know, if they had won a team fight, probably were game-ending a bull creep waves.
Yep.
But not going to be the case.
And that was their one opportunity, right? Paz had no TP. All of a sudden, that is back up and available. Him now getting time in the bot lane to push this one out and can join the fight. Ascension
up.
They know Yutori Moyashi actually just went back to base. So again, this is a 5v4 at the best.
Well, looks like they may be turning around. That's going to be the stun. He does have World Ender. They are using absolutely everything. He can't even pop it as he gets popped.
That's just a bad decision from Paz to continue that. However, they do now have the other 4 members towards the Baron. No TP available, no Paz for 60 seconds. Do they fight it?
2 tanks, 2 carries. It's all about Yutori Moyashi here. Culling does a whole lot of damage.
Has the Essence Flux on as well now for a little bit. He's trying to get a kill onto Lloyd. Lloyd
Flash.
goes down the ultimate, gets himself Zonya'd up. Here comes the chase, and everyone's going to chase him down. He's making this happen. Yutori Moyashi is a monster, is a beast, as Pentagram have found themselves a couple of picks. They're still chasing for more. A great pillar by once will dissuade and will slow down the retreat from Ascension as Rich is on the run. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does connect through, and here comes the Lucian. Here comes the damage. He can't quite get it. Oh, G4! Not going to be enough, not going to be in time, and Rich is the only one who stands.
Yeah, absolutely. On the back end of that team fight, Yutori Moyashi goes nuts. 1v3, able to carry it for his team. And once finally was tanky enough to not die to the Aurelia and just keep G4 busy the entirety of the fight.
He just bought so much time for the Lucian to pop off. Once again, started with the culling, did so much damage on the front end. That was the one specific case he needed, could constantly kite back, had so much cooldown reduction on that E, every auto attack reducing it. And just kite Ascension to death.
They do want to get a kill onto Lloyd. Lloyd is in a very bad position for the moment, and he is just going to get chomped down once, able to pick up that kill.
And time again, these teams just in poor positions, continuing to fight when they should just be retreating. Big tempo reset.
And don't forget, this all started with a pick onto Paz. He TP'd into his demise. This is a 4 versus 5. Started with the culling, so Yutomoyashi plays this so incredibly well. Constantly kiting left, away, has multiple dashes to distance himself from the Morgana, from the Ornn. As you talked about once on the right-hand side of your screen, just wasting time of the Aurelia. He's full HP and keeping Ramune safe, and that was literally a 4v5 and none of them died.
Because you don't want to ignite once at this stage of the game. He's not really doing all that much damage, he's just being a nuisance. G4, look for a kill here.
And the thing about this as well is the way Once played that, if G4 was chasing after Yutori Moriyashi, that would have been a different fight. That would have been the end of the Lucian. That would have been potentially the Baron going down, but now it's Pentagram who have once again been in a very bad position, have somehow found themselves a favorable team fight.
Because all of a sudden they find themselves with another 5,000 gold lead. They have the control, they have the Baron, and Yutori is so far into his build, he's now opted in for the QSS. So he was split from Tahm Kench that fight. He didn't have the safety of his support. Now he has that extra buffer. If he gets another fight like that, all of a sudden, G4 being there doesn't actually matter. You QSS the stun, you constantly dash back. As long as you can auto attack, you can dash on this Essence Revolution.
And also Paz has that GA now as well, so he is going to be a massive nuisance. This is just dead. Elder Drake is going to get picked up by Pentagram. They have Baron, they have Elder Drake, they have all of the tools they need to close this game out. And now we need to watch and see how clean they're going to be able to do it.
Well, so far it hasn't been clean.
Yep.
They had a 5,000 gold lead. They gave it all back. They gave the Baron away. Paz teleported in and ruined my prediction. However, now they do have the 2 major buffs on the map. And they are just grouping up and looking to run this one down mid.
But I'm sure there are some people out there that now say, have Pentagram actually kind of won this game twice, you know? 5,000 gold lead, handed it back, got themselves back in, and looking for the end.
Well, they are going to put a lot of damage down onto these structures. That will be the inhibitor falling down for the moment. And they have a wave to work with in the top side. That's a pretty big wave as well.
And this time it is them with all the waves in their favor. Bottom wave is huge. Top wave, absolutely massive. That is 3 cannon creeps. So Ascension have 1 shot at getting this right, or it is game over.
And the only wave clear they have is a Morgana pool. Aurelia can't do anything, and Olaf Axe, he can't walk up. This is an Elder buff on to Pentagram, and that's 2 just free inhibs, uncontestable.
They are just working through these inhibs, working through the base here. Let's see if Ascension can find that lucky engage, can find that damage they need, find the picks they're going to need.
Bubble.
Good bubble comes down, but I don't think it's going to really be chased up by too much more damage. Rocky does actually lose a fair chunk of his health, and Yutori goes in, takes a couple of tower shots to the back of the head.
And they're just
Slow
fishing.
And steady.
They're just fishing. They have the cannon creeps hitting away at the turret. They're just fishing for bubbles. If it lands onto someone that isn't the Ornn, or if the Ornn is a little bit further out, suddenly they can commit. You can use everything on the Lucian. Zoe has so much burst at this stage, especially with the Baron, especially with the Elder.
Baron is now gone.
So looks like they might just be walking away.
Little bit of a reset here by Pentagram. 41 minutes on the clock. Both of their games today have been incredibly slow-paced, and looks like they're keeping that up once again.
And this is a huge game for both teams. This is first seed versus first seed. You only get 1 shot during the group stage to get this right. And you got to remember, this is not last year's Rift Rivals where everyone gets a shot to play through to that final day. If you were third, you go home.
There's no King of the Hill. There's none of these formats. Your teammates can't bolster you up. It's all about the group stage, all in best-of-1 format. So necessary to get these early wins, to not throw away games that you could be winning. And Pentagram playing it safe.
Remember, Pentagram are from Japan as well, the defending title champions of Rift Rivals.
I mean,
so
they were
not only is it about getting to the finals, it's also just about pride at this point as well.
Yeah, they're the rebranded team that took down the Gigabyte Marines twice. The team that everyone thought would be undefeatable in, you know, the up-and-coming, emerging region kind of 1v1s. They're able to do it twice in this tournament.
And still looking good. 1 victory under their belt. course, it's their second game for the day. It was a comeback versus the Chief. They held on for so long and were able to turn it around. This time they find themselves with the lead, sieging on the final inhib turret. They have two, they have top, they have mid. They're just playing this slow.
Just wait for these waves to start to come in, and that's when they're going to look to siege into the third and final inhibitor. Or they can just step forward with the Lucian and get a couple of auto attacks down for the moment.
I'm kind of surprised that Paz isn't just straight up in the top lane. Like, he can just threaten the Nexus turrets. There's a lot of long-range engage that come out from the Ornn, but with the TP, he could actually realistically end the game if Ascension commit. We've seen how much time the Lucian can buy in a fight. They have a lot of tools to back away, Tahm Kench, Trundle, things like that, so they can try and spread them thin. But now that the waves crash onto the Nexus, Aurelia has to answer, and they're looking for the third.
They are so scared of Rocky right now. Rocky's engage can really turn this. There's actually Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Forces the Ragnarok out, now they're turning it around. Remember, Paz has Worldbringer and that GA. Infernal Chains are going to come out. He's going to go golden as Lloyd is on the chase. They're now chasing for a little bit more damage. Vanguard's Edge is out as well. Neither team has really found an opening into this, but the health bars are starting to blink on both sides. Great binding onto the Zoe to dissuade some damage, but Yutori Oyashi once again is starting to pop off. But it looks like G4 actually might turn this around, actually might find the opening. That's going to be one on the Shen. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Paz is starting to show up. It's starting to put the damage down, but G4, you are a beast. He's looking for once. He's looking for Paz. And that will be the end. Oh no, it won't. Paz!
What? That team fight was so back and forth, but in the end, it is Ascension coming out ahead. It's a 2-for-4, and G4 just was relentless in hunting down that Lucian.
And he was culling so early, bought so much time, and Lloyd on the back end is so good at cleaning up kills at the back end of a team fight. You know, picking up the last one onto the Aatrox. We see how this all started. Black Shield got burnt fairly early as Paz just gets caught out. He's in between multiple members. He goes down incredibly low when it all starts up.
Well, the thing is he has the ultimate, he has a GA, and he has a stopwatch. So he's just an annoying, disruptive tank. And you see, this is a mistake. Yutori Moyashi dashes in, gets knocked up. Now all of a sudden has to use the summoner spell, and G4 onto the back line he goes, is just doing whatever he can to try and disrupt him.
And it's not even about the cleanup at the end. He zoned the Lucian for so long with Vanguard's Edge at the start of the fight. He was not auto-attacking. Once he gets to this point, he's just looking for the resets, looking for kill after kill, and eventually he found it.
And again, Yutori Moyashi dashed into the Ornn while he was mid-headbutt into a structure, got the headbutt, knock up, and then that was actually the end of the Lucian at that point, and it just was dire. Baron is now up once again. There are super minions starting to reset as well. Inhibitors are coming down.
I really wish you would buy
Last Whisper?
Last Whisper. He's against... I mean, I don't even want to hazard a guess at how much armor Rocky has right now.
He's also got the Ornn upgrade. You know what I mean? What I mean? The locket. It's not just a locket. It's a fancy locket.
And they've just got so much HP. HP shred is so beneficial on Lucian because of the fact that he's Light Slinger passive. Just gives you the added value. However, Baron up and available. I don't know if you want to do it.
It's like a little bit of damage from the binding, but Gang is there to gobble him up and make sure he's alive. Paz does have that teleport, so he can go to a side lane if he wants to, but for now, looks like he wants to stay with that big
But if they
death
do, and they get hit by an Ornn ultimate, G4 will one-hit either Ramune or Yutori Mayashi at this stage. And then that's game.
Well, Lloyd could get one shot, loses half of his health to a paddle star.
But they do get the wave in the back end. Rocky pushing out the top side, as you talked about. Paz has the TP available, just currently grouping with the rest of the team. Sweeper is up for the Tahm Kench, so if they want to force around the Baron, but no. They don't want to play about the big purple worm. They're just going for the base. That's open inhibs in all three lanes. They can force them back. There's not a lot of wave clear. It's hard for them to defend.
This is where the banner removal really hurts, team. This is so hard.
G4 on that flank. Paz is going to walk in and face check that. Instantly gets caught out by the stun. Paz going in. Actually going to do a lot of damage. Turn around. Here comes the kill with the Forge God and the Vanguard's Edge. The fight is starting to break out, and Yutori Moriyashi is untouched for the moment, but now they're chasing him down, but he's starting to put some damage down. Going to be able to get himself a kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
Ooh, that bubble.
Do they go?
I don't know if it's going to quite connect. Not going to find it with the paddle star.
And it was just so split. They used all their resources to get onto once. It meant the carries of Pentagram could actually... Oh, what?
You have a half-second window.
He's just a sleepy, basey boy.
Sleepy, basey boy. That's going to be a knock-up into the stun. They're going to get gobbled up by Gang, though. Look at
G4
G4, he
again.
has the Shen, that's going to be one onto G4. He's looking for the stun, he's looking for the damage, but Yatoro Moriyashi still alive, still trying to pump that damage down, and he does a lot of damage. Sleepy Trouble Bubble by Romani is coming out as well. They're putting the damage out, but they're going to look for another gobble. Grey Help is there. Moriyashi still alive. G4 diving straight onto the back, and he's able to find himself one. Gang is next to fall, and Ramune is on the run, but the rest of the team chase him down, shut him down, and Ascension find their team fight once again.
Teleports into the top lane. 50-second death timers on nearly everyone. Just once the jungler going to be up and alive, and I do not think he can do it.
And Pentagram have done this so many times. They overextend to get cleaned up by G4 on the Aurelia. People saying it's not his meta, everyone being proved wrong.
And once again, Once is going in 1v4, trying to stay alive, trying to just slow this down. He's doing a decent job of buying time. That's going to be the call of the Forge God. They're going to be able to take him down. And Ascension with that will be able to get themselves a turret and an inhibitor, and most likely the game.
Yeah, they're going to have to run interference on Paz as well. He does have the ultimate available. He can waste a lot of time, however, with Rocky here.
GA's up. He can do quite a lot. He's got World Ender. They're trying to put the damage onto the turrets. They're not even caring about Paz. Paz is trying to do everything he can. Yatoro Moriyashi's up in a few seconds, but the Nexus is the focus. Ascension have done it. Ascension have shut down Pentagram, and that will be C undefeated on day one.
And there you go. Absolutely happy with the victory there. Feeling pretty good. Not quite undefeated. Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yep. Got that game for.
Got absolutely bopped by the Direwolves earlier, but that was a very good turnaround. That game, Pentagram were in control for the majority, and they fought back twice. That was 2 times they fought their way back into the game off the back of G4 and that Aurelia.
And I think a different style than we're used to seeing out of Southeast Asia. No longer, you know, the running gun style, the high tempo, go for the outplays. This was a lot more controlled. This was a lot more of, you know, pick heavy CC, wait for our moment, get our Aurelia to where she needs to be, and then just take over the game.
You're definitely seeing why Ascension are that first seed coming out of C and why everyone bigged them up to be such a strong team. Pentagram definitely showing some flaws today. They did get that win versus Chiefs, but I mean, it was scrappy that game.
It's just moments, right? Like they had the advantage for the majority of that game. Versus Chiefs, they held on for so long, but those moments of over-aggression, of overcommitments into the mid lane, they do just get cleaned up in the back end, and those small moments here cost them this game.
Yeah, I would argue it's even, you know, just concentration lapses. Like, Once had a moment where they were in lanes and he just randomly ran through a choke in the jungle. Like, there's just moments in that game where it just looked like they weren't on the same page, they weren't cohesive. I mean, maybe you got bored. I mean, sieging with the Trundle, just throwing out pillars kind of sucks. But ultimately, that is what allowed Ascension to get back into that game.
I mean, you have to also give props to G4. He popped off in that Aurelia, multiple team fights, and just found the picks he needs. So really, really good showing from him.
Not to mention, props to Rocky. First competitive game against Aatrox. He wasn't the one that picked it up, but you know what I mean? Able to hold his own. It was almost a solo kill on the bottom, so I had to burn the flash to get away.
Yeah, I mean, he played incredibly well. I think that his ultis were always on point. I like the fact that he was willing to sack the side lane to group with his team and create opportunities. And I mean, he had one bad ultimate that flew away, but you miss 99. What is it? Miss 100% of shots you don't take. So I think that he played a pretty good game.
Now, gentlemen, you guys were making predictions coming into this tournament. Who you think is going to be the strongest? What regions anyway?
Yep.
After seeing today's performances from all these teams, any changes you want to make?
No, obviously, like, I'm an OPL caster and an OPL fan, and I think the OS teams have looked pretty strong. Chiefs were ahead in their loss versus Pentagram. I feel like Japan, I'm surprised that they end up on the bottom after today. I'm actually surprised, like, Mineski came out, they showed us that funnel composition, and that is the most surprising victory for me for the day, that C now finished this one, 2 versus 1 in the loss.
Well, we can have a little look at the standings to see where all of the teams are facing. For the moment, OPL and C are tied in that first place, and then LJL only with 1 point, hot on their heels for the moment. But there's still 2 more days of group stages to go, 2 more days of action to come.
There absolutely is, and I think the big thing for me is that Legacy hasn't played. The 3rd seed from Oceania has not yet played, and I think that that is a team that has big question marks about it. Everyone knows that Chiefs right now are in form, you know, minus the loss against Tectonic. Direwolves still undefeated, but Legacy are currently sitting second last on the Oceanic Pro League ladder, and they need to win their games for Oceania to stay up near the top. And I think that people were kind of hopeful that maybe Southeast Asia had fallen off a little bit, but they are still showing that they can slug it out even without Vietnam.
And that's actually so cool because they lost Vietnam, right? And even the players in the interviews so humble, saying that, yes, it is a big loss for us, the fact that we now don't play as often against these teams. Of course, like scrims are still potential, but competitive practice, competitive games and experience means so much. But to come out to have a good game one, especially considering Japan are now 1-3, the other two regions are 2-1. They've played more games and have less points overall.
Yeah, and we'll have to have a look at tomorrow's games coming up to see whether or not Japan can pull it back. So bring the schedule up and we'll show you exactly what's going on tomorrow. We're going to be starting off the day with Unsold Stuff Gaming, who lost their first game of the day versus Legacy, the question mark team from the OPL. Any games here, gentlemen, that are standing out to you? Anything you're excited for?
I'm excited for Legacy. Just because we haven't seen them yet. It's the one team that we have not seen. Every region's third seed misses out on one day of group stage just based on the scheduling and how many games they play. To see them open the show tomorrow and see how they do, I'm keen.
And then the Direwolves games are where I'll be looking because they look so dominant today. So if Direwolves can really continue that trend, you know, can keep the screws in, if they take out Detonation, Focus Me clean, you know, arguably the best team from the LJL, even though they're not top seed, then Ascension, if they can go into that game. I think they're favorites in both the games after how they played today, and I want to see how good this Direwolf team can be.
You can definitely tell we're OPL casters, by the way, picking the Legacy and then the Direwolves games, but also in terms of like other teams like Detonation, Focus Me, I feel like their game one versus the Chiefs today was super 50-50. It was super back and forth. They had very strong moments. And that's a game where they could have won and then Chiefs go like 0-2, you know what I mean? And this is a completely different story. So I feel like there's a lot of bounce back potential there for the LJL. And the games where they lost were very close.
I have to admit, I do agree with the Direwolves point. They have some very tough games coming up tomorrow.
They wanted 26 minutes or something.
Yeah, and they look very good. Exactly, yeah. So they've really got to prove a point here and go, yep, we are the strongest team. But that will do us here for day one of Rift Rivals. We will be back in the same place at the same time tomorrow. So we'll see you then. With the Darkened Blade, with that damage, Aatrox is coming up. Not going to be able to chase for more, and I completely take that back. Rocky teleports in a little bit too late. He's trying to make this happen. Paz is dead. Rich is somehow still alive, and he's not down yet. It's a 1-for-1 trade for both of the teams for the moment, but we've still got the solo coming out. Ascension are finding their picks, are finding their foot in this game as G4 gets a triple kill. Here comes the chase, and everyone's going to take him down. He's making this happen. Yatori Ashi is a monster, is a beast. Once again, it's starting to pop off, but it looks like G4 actually might turn this around, actually might find the opening. That's going to be one of the shed. It's a 1-for-1 trade for Paz. It's starting to show up. It's starting to put the damage down, but G4, you are a beast. He's looking for once. He's looking for Paz. And that will be the end. Oh no, it won't. Paz! Moriashi's still alive. G4 diving straight onto the back, and he's able to find himself one. Gang is next to fall, and Ramune is on the run, but the rest of the team chase him down, shut him down, and Ascension have done it. Ascension have shut down Pentagram.